Good morning, everybody. Here is my first live with Jill Facebook 4-H Project Area Challenge. I'm excited to come to you today. We're just wanting to stay connected to all our 4-Hers across the county. I wish I could be doing this live with Jill and Laura, but since we are social distancing and working from home, we'll give a shout out to Laura. Today's Facebook Live challenge is going to be on food and nutrition. Who knew? I forgot it already. Food and nutrition is our Facebook challenge this week. So I'm going to talk to you a little about food and nutrition, some of the resources that we have available, and then the challenges that we're going to have for the next week. And participating in the challenges, you can post a comment with a video or photo or a photo of a recipe card in the comments, and you'll be put into a drawing every week for a Lyon County 4-H t-shirt. So just to get started in food and nutrition, I'm going to switch the camera around and show you the 4-H website resources that we have for food and nutrition. So if you go to our Lyon County website, the static exhibits button has been updated and is ready to go. And those are all the helpful tools you'll need for exhibiting at the Lyon County Fair. Some of the other helpful resources in project learning area for Iowa 4-H, the Iowa 4-H website. If you click on project areas, this will bring up all of the project areas that are available in Iowa 4-H. We're going to go down to Family and Consumer Science, and we're going to click on Food and Nutrition. So this brings up the website that has to do with food and nutrition, and it has all different types of resources and ideas for project learning, what you can learn with others, communication, civic engagement, leadership, exhibit ideas, and then also extension resources, ISU publications, and videos. On the right here is the project area events, the helpers, the help sheets, and the state staff who kind of oversees the food and nutrition area. So some of the help sheets that I'm going to talk about today is number one, the project hot sheet. And all you got to do is click on it. I've already clicked on it, so I'm going to bring it up. Here is your project hot sheet. And this is a PDF that you can print off. And I printed one off for you today to see. And if you don't have access to a printer, just contact the extension office at any time. Well, not for the next few weeks because we are not working in the office, but if you don't have access to a printer at any time, just give us a call and we can print something off for you, and we are more than willing to mail it out to you. So here is my project hot sheet, and it has lots of great ideas. And our challenges are going to include all of these different types of ways you can learn in 4-H: communication, civic engagement, leadership, and entrepreneurship. So there's ideas for project learning. So that's your first one. The next helpful tool on the website is exhibit tip sheet. And so when we're talking about project learning or exhibit tip sheet, those are two different things. Project learning is food and nutrition as a whole project area. It's anything that has to do with food and nutrition. It can be baked goods, cooking, grilling, anything that has to do with healthy living, anything that has to do with food and nutrition. An exhibit is something that you bring to the fair. So your project learning may include multiple things, but what you actually bring to the fair is your best of your best exhibit that you want to showcase to the public and to get feedback from judges who are experts in that area and have judged those areas and can give you high quality feedback. I am not an expert in all of those project areas. I'm probably not an expert in any of them, but we do have people across the state who are very knowledgeable in those areas, and those are the ones that we reach out to. And that's where the exhibit tip sheet comes into play, because that, I'll flip my camera around here. It tells you what the judge is looking for. So these first 3 questions are basically your goal label that you'll complete. And then it has information on baked products, canned products, and other ideas. And I'm not gonna read that word for word for you. And so that just gives you a little bit of feedback before you come to the Lyon County Fair to get your exhibits, your food and nutrition exhibits judged. Another resource we have, and this is a wonderful newer resource, it's called Foods for Iowa Fairs Quick Reference Guide. I have this posted on our static page. If you click on it, if you see it down below here, if you click on this, it will bring you to our ISU Extension store. And the reason we link you to the store and not the direct PDF is that if the state at any time updates this, they only have to update in one location and it will always be available. But this is a free resource that you just have to click download on, and then it will pop up for you. And this is a Food for Iowa Fair, and I printed it off, and it's 4 pages, and I'm not going to read it to you, but I do want to point out a few things. First page is about preserved food and approved recipe sources. It gives you your altitudes for preserving food. One of the resources that I really want to touch on, though, is, and my highlighter did not like my printer, it is our Iowa State University Extension and Outreach answer line. And this is what we give to a lot of people who call in with home or food questions. We give them the hotline for the answer line. And what they have told us at answer line is that if any 4-Hers are wondering about recipes that they're making or things that they want to bring to fair for judging in the actual baked food, is that you can send your recipe to them and they will tell you if it is approved or not. Many of the people that work for Answerline are also food and nutrition judges. So they are very knowledgeable in those areas. This document actually has, oh, I'm touching my hands. That is not a healthy living thing. They have, I'm gonna flip this around again. If you can see, this resource gives you examples for preserved food on what's acceptable, unacceptable, and method notes. It does the same thing for baked goods. So what does that mean? So for baked goods, one of the things that I can just talk about is pies. Everybody loves pies. Pies in the summer are great. Pies in the winter are great. Everybody loves a good pie. Some of the pies that are acceptable would be like a double crusted fruit pie, a traditional recipe for a pecan pie, or a Dutch apple pie. Pies that are not acceptable would be like your custard, pumpkin, or meringue pies, because those have to be refrigerated. Does that mean that you can't do project learning in those areas? Absolutely not. So what you would want to do if you want to learn how to make a traditional lemon meringue, we'll just go with lemon meringue because it's spring and we want to bring out those spring flavors. You want to learn how to make a traditional lemon meringue pie. Well, that's not maybe something that you can actually bring as an exhibit to the fair, but you can still show your project learning through a PowerPoint or a poster or a journal and talk about how you learned to make a lemon meringue pie. So that's just one example of something that you can actually bring, like a physical food item you can bring to the fair versus an item you can't, but you can still do project learning on it. And then, of course, the last resource we're going to talk about is the Fair Book. And so the Fair Book has a few new things in it, which is great. They separated out the prepared product, which is like your baked goods, breads, bars, cookies, those types of things, and preserved product, which is your canned goods. And so they separated those two classes out. So those are two separate. So you could bring up to 5 prepared products and 5 preserved products. So that's an exciting new change. There's also educational display, which is they've had for a few years. And then also on the food and nutrition special rules, and I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see this, they added recommended number of items to include with the exhibit. And that's always kind of our number one question when asked, well, how many do we put on a plate? So now they put it in the fare book, and so it tells you exactly what they're looking for. So if you have more questions about food and nutrition, you can always email me or give us a call. The extension office is closed right now. We're working remotely. Obviously, this doesn't look like the extension office. I'm in my dining room. But so our challenges this week. So I started thinking about what challenges could we create for you this week. And so the 3 challenges I came up with for food and nutrition are select a recipe from an old cookbook. And the reason I got this is because I had found this cookbook in my cabinet. And this is a cookbook that I cooked from when I was a youth, and actually probably brought some of the recipes to the fair as a 4-H'er. But I didn't have this cookbook. I just came into possession of this cookbook about 9 years ago. I cooked from this a lot when I was a child, but then growing up, my mom only had one, and she wasn't giving up her cookbook because she loved that cookbook. So, and you know, back in the day, you didn't think about buying 2 or 3. You just bought one for yourself for your own cooking. So I had mentioned that if anybody ever came across this cookbook when they were at garage sales or house sales or whatever, that I would love to have one. Well, my grandma heard that, and so a few years ago, she decided to give me her cookbook, which is super cool and just so thoughtful because I'll flip it around and show you, because this was our church cookbook from growing up. And so she had used this for many, many years. And so she has little notes in there, and you can tell this was a well-loved cookbook. And so it's just, she has notes in there like if it's good. She has extra recipes that she wrote down in there. So that's a super fun thing that we got to do. So our first challenge is to select a recipe from an old cookbook. I am probably like a lot of you. I just go instantly to Pinterest or blogs that I follow and find a recipe quicker than having to look through a cookbook. So our first challenge is select a recipe and bake or cook it from an old cookbook. It doesn't have to be a baked item. I already had Kiana do this challenge for me yesterday. She cooked one of the mint brownies that I used to bake as a child. So I'll show you here. And they are good. They taste just like they did when we were a kid. The second challenge is create a $10 meal challenge. So if you've had a chance to kind of peek at the new fair book, there is a new, I'm looking for it here. Got mixed up in all my papers. Oh, I keep touching my mouth. My hands to my mouth, bad habits. Good thing I can social distance and go wash my hands when I'm done. One of the new classes this year, and this is super exciting, if you've ever heard of the $10 clothing event challenge, well, they have now created a $10 meal challenge poster. So each 4-H can make one poster, and it is a $10 meal challenge poster. And the rules are in the fair book, and they also, it has some different types of rules. So the poster should include the meal type. It can be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, a menu description, photos of the meal, shopping experiences, a copy of the $10 meal challenge. There's an actual worksheet that goes with it. And some different resources are like the My Plate from choosemyplate.gov. So that is a fun new one. Hopefully we'll see lots of posters out there from that challenge. And then the third challenge is in 4-H, we always want to have civic engagement, giving back to others. So the third challenge is going to be donate a food item to an elderly person in your community or somebody that you know is maybe in need. And that is one way to give back to others. Some of our elderly are looking for interaction right now. A lot of them are widows or widowers, and they're not having a lot of people interaction. So I don't encourage you going to their house, but maybe give them a call ahead and say, hey, I'm bringing some cookies over. I'm going to put them on your front doorstep at noon, and then you can tell them that you'll wave from the street and show them just some love out there so that they know that they are being cared for. So that is the third one. So if we look at our ways, 4-H project area, communication, that would be your $10 poster challenge. Civic engagement, giving back to others. Leadership, the $10 meal challenge could be showing leadership in your family by taking responsibility for a meal. And then entrepreneurship, you can look for ways to sell those homemade meals or dishes. A lot of people are looking for ways to cook now. So lots of different ways you can become engaged in 4-H project learning through food and nutrition. So we are so excited that I am so excited that you watched the video today, and hopefully we will get lots of people to participate in the challenges throughout the next few weeks. Thank you. I'm going to sign off. Have a great week, and we will see you next week at 11 o'clock.